Jerome Span. Of course, I'm here to tell you about our sponsor today. And our sponsor is, of course, and will forever be longstanding. Hey, mind you, he don't give me no money, but this is my man's. I got to hold him down. It is Swopes Athletic Recruiting and Scouting. Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen, Swopes is out here trying to change lives. He's trying to help get these young athletes into college each and every week. Every day he dedicates a lot of time to this. This man has a serious passion for helping others further their education and further their lives in with a lot of great ways. They are on Facebook. Make sure you look up Swopes Athletic Recruiting and Scouting. Swopes is spelled Swopes. It is ran by Mr. Nathaniel Swopes Jr. He is the man in Houston, if y'all don't know. But yes, make sure you go check him out if you're trying to get your kid into school, or hell, if you're even a kid here that's thinking about going into school and you want to try and keep playing, keep your athletic career going, make sure you go check out Swopes Athletic Recruiting and Scouting. He is the man that is going to help you keep that dream going. So make sure you follow them on Facebook, and you can get right a hold of Mr. Swopes there. He will help you get into college and keep your dream going for continuing to play your sports. So again, people, Swopes Athletic Recruiting and Scouting. Check it out now. Help change some kid around you that you know's future, or hell, even your future.
Yeah, Enigma in the house. My man J Span, Titan Studios. It's called From the Heart. Keeping it real is what all the song's about. Never selling your soul. Always staying true to yourself. Alright, yeah. Check it out. Money, cars, but we'll never get you far unless you gonna spit it from the heart. Yeah, money, cars, but we'll never get you far unless you gonna spit it from the start. Man, money, cars, but we'll never get you far unless you gonna spit it from the heart. Yeah, money.
And welcome back to your favorite weekly sports show. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it is ITC Sportsball, and I am your man, Jerome Span. Of course, pretty face on ITC. Don't you forget that, baby. And I'm here with the half the crew of Sports Ball. You know, our other dude, we gave him the day off because this ain't really, we don't want to bore him and waste his time because we're just talking football today, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we don't want to do that to our man. We value his time more than that. But I've got that hot take spitter, the man who rips like Dylon spits. He is the modern day Ali on the microphone. When he steps into your home, all your ladies is gone. He is that man.
Yeah, I had to do it for my boy. You know, it's your boy Mase ready to go.
I like it. Oh, yes, we are back this week. Yes, and Daryl's taking the week off. So Daryl, enjoy your time off. We appreciate you, baby. But yeah, we're just going to get right to it because we got football this week, and football has came back. So we'll start here before we get into all, breaking down these division picks. Mase, your Cowboys played last night. Well, not last night, last afternoon, I should say. How do you feel about what you saw?
I really liked it. Let's see. The main things I was looking forward to was looking at the how our linebacking group was working together. I think Damone Clark is ready to make his second year leap. Overshown, he looks a little light in the pants right now, but he's every bit of the aggressor at the point of contact right now. So I think with time, he'll only get better. Mozzie gave me what I thought he would. He was strong at the point of contact. I really liked the way our safeties were hitting out there. Marquise Bell looked really good. We're going to be without can't think of his name. Oh, brother. We're going to be without Wilson here for probably like the first 5-6 games. So Marquise Bell and Israel Ikwamu are going to get a lot of playing time because we run a lot of nickel, a lot of 3 safety sets on defense. So I expect Marquise Bell to be solid enough until Wilson gets back, and I think we'll be all right.
Fair enough. Well, my Bears played yesterday, and then, you know, we was out there yesterday, Mase. We was out there. What's happening? we let y'all know what kind of year it's about to be. About to be explosive on offense, and I like to see it. Gotta say, didn't get to see as much of the offense working as you wanted, right? Because they scored basically 2 touchdowns within like 4 plays, essentially. So you didn't really get to see much, but love to see
the speed was there.
Yeah, love to see that DJ Moore was able to take a screenplay and get it to the house that shows his explosiveness right off of the top. So you know already, hey, you got a playmaker there. It was also great to see Fields be able to keep the play alive, get his shoulders around, get the dump off screen to Herbert there, and Herbert also to take that to the house. So really, really excited to see that. What got me even more excited, though, was seeing Travis Gibson's get off during the course of his time playing this game. From start to finish, Travis Gibson was giving the offensive line of the Titans problems all game long. I mean, this dude, his motor was running at 100 miles an hour, and I appreciated it. It was good to see that it seems like he maybe has taken a step forward and understands more of what he needs to do. It's great to see because we've talked about this on the show. For the Bears to ultimately have the success that they want to have, there's going to have to be some guys on that D line that make some plays, and if they don't make the plays, it's good. It's going to put the offense in a situation where you got to outscore everybody again, and that's not really ever a position you want to be in. So, good to see that out of Travis Gibson. Good to see stuff out of Dexter and out of God. How do I keep forgetting his name? But out of both the D tackles that we drafted, great to see. It's looking like we've got some things that maybe will lead us to having a better year than some expected. I know, like I told y'all when we talked about the North, I'm riding with my Bears. I think we about to blow the doors off some people because it's going to be hard to keep up with our offense, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on other teams to score points. And Mase, you and I know you on those drives that should be touchdowns that end up field goals, they end up killing you when you're playing a team that can consistently put up points on the board. So. We'll see what happens there, but I was happy with what I saw of the Bears. But
I didn't even get to the most exciting part about our day when they let the Deuce loose, baby. When old Deuce Vaughn got loose a couple times for us. Hey man, he looks like he's gonna be exciting in the screen game. I mean, he can run between the tackles. He proved that in college, and he proved it now. He can make people miss in the open field. I think however we get him the ball in his hands, if we can get him 5 to 6 touches a game, I think those are going to be all positive plays for us, simply because the quickness and the visibility or lack of visibility of finding him behind the monsters that we have on the offensive line is going to be a problem for everybody.
Yeah, that is true. We saw Darren Sproles make a whole career of, you can't find me.
Right? He go into a pile and pop out of a little hole, and you're like, what the hell is going on here?
So I'm very happy with the Bears' performance. I know you seem to sound happy with what you saw out of the Cowboys. All I can ask from here is, please, Lord, be healthy for the regular season. That's all I'm asking. Don't get no dumb injuries, nothing. Just sweet baby Jesus, please. Please, sweet baby Jesus. That's all I'm asking for.
That's it, man. Just make it to the regular season. No injuries, please.
I'm telling you, man. Just please. Goodness gracious. So we'll end up seeing what both of our teams end up doing long-term here. But, of course, got to keep it moving because we got to get to the X Factor picks for the what division?
West
last week. Jesus, the West. Thank you. Yes, I'm terrible right now. So might as well start in the NFC West because they've got a lot of spicy teams in there, and that division is a little more open than the AFC West in both of our opinions here. So Mase, we will start with our boy Ali's team, the Seattle Seahawks. Last year, we both picked Noah Fant, which, I don't know. I think if we were to view it as correct, it would have had to have been Geno. We had to pick Geno.
Yeah.
That's just, that's just being fair. So Mase, who you got as the X factor for the Seahawks this year?
I'm going to go on to the other side of the ball here, and I'm actually going to go Quandre Diggs. He's consistently for the past 3-4 years been one of the better safeties in the league. For all the talk that we give to Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs has not only been more available, he's been the overall better safety of the two. So I think that secondary is going to be a lot better. We know Wolin, he's on a mission to prove himself. I don't know why guys aren't talking about him in the same breath as Sauce Gardner right now, because he had just as good a season. It's just that he was in Seattle and not New York.
Caroline.
Yeah, man. I mean, Wolin had just as good a season. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
You can't teach 6'4" and a 4.2. You can't teach none of that.
No, you can't. So I like that pick. I most definitely do. I think that is very reasonable. But this is going to be, some may view it as a little bit of a cop out, but this is just my honest feeling. I think it's Devin Witherspoon. You have to show that pick was the right pick because of the other guys that they were in position to draft at that time. You cannot, because think about it. We talked with Allie about his team, right? Say, Allie, what's the issue with the Seahawks for what you saw? Said that defensive line. We need some help.
I said, yeah, Jalen Carter was still there, so
he was right there for him. He was there. So my man Witherspoon, I think he's going to be good, but we got to see. They have to hit on that pick. They have to have, because if you passed up on Jalen Carter, who was not only a great prospect, but also at a prime position of need for you when you didn't necessarily need another young corner at this moment, it's bad luck. So for me, I think it's Witherspoon all day.
I think my honorable mention, I will say is going to be Kobe Bryant. I think him being able to move in to be the slot corner now, I think that's going to help him tremendously because he is a bigger, more physical guy. That's my honorable mention.
Give honorable mentions. Stop trying to give me honorable mentions. Trying to cheat.
Listen, bro, I think he's
trying to hedge yourself. I put one person on this list. No more. I ain't putting no more.
I'm giving the people what they want.
Stop it. All right. So, Mase, we'll keep it moving here to the San Francisco 49ers. Who do you got as their X Factor player?
Who is going to be their quarterback, man? Is it Purdy? I probably I got to go with Purdy, man. I mean, that team is set everywhere else. We know what we going to get out of every position on the field. If he can just be Jimmy G. Okay, yeah. If Purdy can just be Jimmy G, they good. Plain and simple, plain out and simple.
So I think that's a very respectable pick. I think it makes sense. But for me, it's Trey Lance. Brock Purdy ain't staying healthy all year. And if we're being honest, people, here's the problem. See, I think people overrated what Brock Purdy did because we were so used to seeing Jimmy G piss away so many great opportunities, right? Like they basically weren't a vertical team at all with Jimmy G. It was basically horizontal stuff all day long. There's no way he's that good. If you look at his actual numbers, there is no possible way he is that good. Because people, if y'all don't understand, you look at his PFF numbers, you look at any of his other advanced metric numbers that you want to talk about, right? It says that Brock Purdy is the greatest quarterback basically of all time, okay? And we all watched him play. I'm not saying he's bad, but he's not that. At some point, with the Niners' luck, we've known how this has played out. They quarterbacks seem to get hurt. Trey Lance is the X factor for me, because when he gets that opportunity to go in there and play, he has to show that he can be not only as efficient as Brock Purdy, but more dynamic, especially in the run game. Because think about it. Otherwise, they pissed away a fucking top 5 pick.
Draft capital and
a top 5, Mase.
I think he went number 3. I'm pretty sure he went number 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But think about it, anything in the top 5. If you mess up in the top 5, you okay, because you have the choice of basically everybody. You have to come out with a good player. If you don't, you effed up. Plain out and simple.
Especially trading into the top 5. When you trade into the top 5 and you blow that pick, that can set you back. Now you got to think about it, man. That cap is creeping up on San Francisco.
At some point,
some of those guys ain't gonna be on that team.
And age is going to become a thing at some point, right? Like I understand that there's a lot of guys on the team that are young, but there's also some guys that have been playing there for quite a while, and they about to be approaching the wrong side of 30 in the NFL. So we'll see what happens. I think this is going to play out to be an interesting season for the Niners, because we're either going to see the evolution of the Kyle Shanahan offense, or we're going to end up seeing this much better than what we saw out of Jimmy G for years. Because again, people, I'm not saying that Brock Purdy is not I'm not saying he can't make the Kirk Cousins line of quarterbacks, but he ain't even Kirk Cousins yet to me, people. Okay, you got to show me more than a handful of games, because I've seen plenty of guys come out, play hot for a handful of games, and then turn around and be Garbaggio. So we'll see there. But moving forward here, Mase, got to get to your favorite team in the West, the Arizona Cardinals, and your boy, Kyler Murray. Mase, who's the X factor for the Cardinals for you this year?
I got to look at BJ Ojulari coming over from the Giants. They need a player in that front seven to be good. They need somebody to rush the passer, obviously, and they brought him in to do just that. He was playing fairly well for New York, but they drafted Thibodeau, and he got shifted out of there. So I think he's gonna come in with a chip on his shoulder, saying, "If y'all didn't want me, cool. I'm about to go over here and ball out." And we know what we're gonna get from Budda Baker. That's really about it from that defense. Outside of Budda, it's question marks all over the place on that defense, and Ojulari has to be one of the answers if the Cardinals want to finish anywhere near decent. Because I expect them. If they get 3 wins, I'm like, hey, solid season, bro.
For me, this is a very, very easy one. Marquise Brown. You traded away draft capital to get a guy who's out here talking all that cash money about how good he can be now that he's in this system that passes more. Marquise, we don't believe you. You need more people. I need to see it first. So I'm putting all the pressure on that team is Marquise Brown. Because look, Kyler Murray, they signed him to a deal. Whether or not they believe in him after this season is kind of irrelevant, because they can't get out from underneath that contract, right? At best, you can try and fleece somebody into trading for him, but if you're trying to trade him at that point with all that money, you're not getting any real value back. Nobody's going to do that. So, Marquise Brown, you say you want to get paid like a number one. You think you a number one, all this other jibber jabber that you over there doing. Let's see it, player. Let's see it. Because I done heard a whole lot of people telling us for years, oh, Marquise Brown is good. You guys don't like Marquise Brown. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we'll see. We'll see.
Hey, you got to do a whole lot more in the NFL than run straight.
Big facts. Big facts. So we will see what happens there. Now let's get to the team that's the most boring team in the West, and that's the Los Angeles Rams. Mase, who you got as our X Factor player? Just for everybody's record, last year Mase picked Allen Robinson, played out pretty true. I picked Joe Notebroom, which played out true too because our offensive line was terrible. So, Mase, who do you got as their X Factor player this year?
For them to have a decent year, man, Matthew Stafford has to be healthy. For them to even be in games to have a chance to be competitive, Matthew Stafford's got to be healthy. It's that team is pretty much overhauled at this point. They have about 30-something rookies on that team, like first or second year players on that team. Like they have a lot of young players on that team. So the competitiveness will probably be there, but there will be plenty of mistakes, and that offense is going to have the ball in their hands a lot, which means Stafford's going to have to take care of the ball. He's going to have to move the ball consistently down the field. If not, man, it's going to get ugly quick for them, and who knows what that will mean for that team long term, because Aaron Donald is probably one more bad season away from hanging it up. He got his ring. He don't need to do nothing else. He's a first ballot.
Either hanging it up or saying, hey, dog, trade me somewhere. I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to win one more before I get out. So we'll see here. I think that's a very good pick there with Matthew Stafford for sure. For me, it's Cam Akers. When the Rams were having success as a team pretty consistently, they had a run game. I understand they won that Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp and Odell playing, crazy style in the playoffs, right? I get that. But when they were a consistent, successful team, they had a running game. They have gotten way away from that at this point. Since Todd Gurley in that first Super Bowl year, they have not had a good run game since then.
No.
So the team has been they've won a lot of games, but how they were viewed was much different. They went from being viewed as a team that was a perennial contender to get back to the bowl to where they started asking the questions about Jared Goff. Is Jared Goff the guy? Can we ever win with him? Blah, 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 blah. Which results in them going the other way, getting Matthew Stafford. So for me, it's Cam Akers. You got to see with a team that you got one wide receiver in Cooper Kupp. You don't have anybody else at those skill positions as far as your pass catchers that scares anybody. Anyone. I mean, Mase, can you name me another wide receiver or tight end on this roster currently?
Ben Skoronski, just because his name. I know the name. That's it.
Hey, you know who mine is? Tutu Atwell. Because of the name. So that's what I'm saying. And we both know neither of those guys that we named are anything special. So knowing that none of those guys are special, it gives me a lot of questions about what this team is actually going to be long term. We'll see how it plays out. But again, I think they have to have a running game again this year. Even if Matthew Stafford, like you said, they need him to play good also. But if he's going to play good this year, it's because they have a running game. You cannot put that pressure on him with no offensive line. He's like a statue back there. You can't do that. So we'll see. But got to get to the AFC West. So we'll start with the team that's the worst team in the division, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders. For record's sake here, last year Mase picked Devontae. I picked Trayvon Mullen Jr. I don't know. The Raiders were just such a poop show last year that it's hard to say who was. I don't think either of us were wrong because Devontae showed that their offense could have something there last year, right? And then Trayvon Mullen being up out of the paint so quick showed, oh my God, they've been wasting more draft picks. So it was like, hey, I think we both ended up right in that case. So, Mase, who are you going with as the X factor for the Las Vegas Raiders this year?
You know what? I have to go Jimmy G because he's got the best receiver he's ever played with in Devontae Adams. I mean, hey, shout outs to Debo. Brandon Ayuk has been coming on along fairly well. George Kittle is always great to pass the ball to, but you got Devontae right now. And Jimmy G has a chance to show that his game is much more than play action and throwing it to the dude that's wide open because the play call was just immaculate. You have a chance to now prove that some of that money that you earned in your career was well earned because you can actually hit a dude on time in stride. Because Devontae gonna be there, and it's up to Jimmy G to get it there. You feel me?
I don't disagree with you at all. I was gonna pick somebody else, but the truth of the matter comes down to it's Jimmy G, bro. Like, dude, you got rid of Derek Carr, so Josh McDaniels, who does not have a historically good resume of judging quarterbacks, right? Said, "Nah, baby, I can't do it with Derek Carr. I need Jimmy G. Give me Jimmy G." So you got that now. Jimmy G has to ball. Devontae Adams, I bet you we're gonna be hearing trade rumors.
Oh yeah, I definitely
we're gonna
think
be hearing that man want out because Jimmy G is not gonna do Devontae down there somewhere. Jimmy G gonna check it down to the running back and keep it moving. Or
the running back that's not Josh Jacobs.
Yeah,
they don't get that man his money, dog. Jimmy G gonna mess around and throw 30 picks this year because he ain't got a run game.
He gonna get exposed real quick. All right, so might as well keep it moving to the team that gets talked about so much in this division, but they always just seem to poop down their legs and be who they are historically. The Los Angeles Chargers. Mase, last year you picked any cornerback not named J.C. Jackson. It seems after that season you should have picked the whole secondary group, for being honest, outside of Derwin James. So, Mase, who you got as our X factor this year?
Bosa. He's kind of due to injuries and whatnot. He hasn't had a solid season in about 2 years now. He's got a word out there is that he's gaining weight. I guess gaining the weight back because those first 2 years of Joey Bosa's career, man, he hit the scene, do everything, and he's all the reports come out. He's actively tried to lose weight, and you can see that hurt him way more than it helped him out. So he's trying to get back closer to that. The weight he was coming in as a rookie in those first few seasons. And I think that'll help him tremendously, not just in the run game or passing game, but just staying healthy, like being a bigger body, being able to take on and absorb more contact. I think that'll help him tremendously. And like I said, that secondary outside of Durham was trash, and the best way to help your secondary out is to get a pass rush. So Joey Bosa has to go back and reestablish dominance, or it'll be a long season again for them.
Oh, I really, really like that pick. He was actually my number 2 person when I was thinking about this team. But for me, it's Quentin Johnson. And the reason I'm going to say this is it's not necessarily that he has to ball out, be some rookie phenomenon that we've ever seen. That's not what I mean by picking him here. But they had no real verticality to their offense. They had, excuse me, don't let me say that. They didn't have anybody that really just took the top off of the defense. They had guys that could go up and get it when they went vertical, but not somebody that just ran past the defenders. They need somebody to add some vertical stretch to their offense that can really start pulling these defenders back and saying, hey, let's get some big plays in the middle of the field more. Let's not make it so he has to keep throwing to the deep outside so much to these bigger guys and trying to make that work. If they do not make it work with Quentin Johnson, it's going to be a bad look. That means their offense has probably had a bad year. Herbert probably got hurt. And you're looking at massive changes, including potentially that head coach. Because that head coach,
hopefully for them, Kellen Moore has kind of self-reflected and saw some of the error of his ways.
Nigga, stop. You know you don't believe in that man at all, man.
I don't.
You don't.
But hopefully if he is a coach, he will be able to self-evaluate and realize that you can't run curls and option routes all the time.
Hey, Mase, let me ask you something. Why would he self-evaluate when a lot of people are still out here giving the analysis of, well, why would the Cowboys get rid of him? He's had one of the best offenses over the past 3 years. You think that sounds like a man who did self-evaluation? He got hired like that, Mase.
Listen, they mutually parted ways and he got hired within hours of that. So like I said, for the Chargers' sake, hopefully he's done something, because relying on option routes, man, that gets sticky. That gets real sticky. Especially like once the injury
is you're asking for too much from not your number 1 and 2 guys, but you're asking a lot from 3 and 4.
Yeah, you're asking
a whole lot.
Once those injuries happen, because I mean, you have to expect somebody important to go down. You always have to expect it. You know what I'm saying? It's a contact sport. People are going to get hurt on random plays. So once you, like I said, once that 3rd and 4th receiver have to play 20, 30 snaps a game, you're telling them to run option routes with the quarterback who they rarely get passes from.
Like, Mase, what did I tell you yesterday? We got to keep Justin Fields healthy, because I seen what PJ Walker was out there doing, and I don't want none of that. Oh, no. So, yeah, you got most definitely need to keep healthy there, because if they don't, they in trouble. So, keep it moving here to our boy, Baby James' team. Shout out to Baby James. We appreciate you, brother. Mase, last year you picked Justin Simmons. I picked Bradley Chubb. I think yours was actually more fair, because even after they traded Bradley Chubb, they were still a top defense in the league. So I think your pick was very, very fair, because Justin Simmons had a great year again last year. Another great year after that's like 4 or 5 in a row, right? So,
yeah, that man is just consistently excellent.
Yeah, so I'd have to say that you came out right here. So who would you pick as their X Factor player this year, Mase?
You know what? I'm going to have to go with Cortland Sutton here. That offense still looked anemic outside of a one Jerry Jeudy excellent route in that preseason game. That offense still looked anemic, man. They did not look good. They're going to have to get something out of that receiving room. They're going to have to get something excellent out of that receiving room. Yeah, it can go either way, him or Jeudy, but I'll go with Sutton here, because I think Jeudy will he'll do his part. I just don't know what we're gonna get out of Sutton, but I
see. Here's the thing. I went Jerry Jeudy. I think Jerry Jeudy's to me the more questionable one in this situation, because I feel like he's the guy that Sutton, I think we know what he is. We know what kind of receiver he is. We know he can produce. We've seen it before. Jerry Jeudy, I mean, this guy was a first-round pick. Mase, what have we really seen from him? What have we seen from him? There's not anything, in my opinion, that we have seen from Jerry Jeudy that says to me, hey, man, this guy is living up to the draft potential that people saw. I haven't seen it yet. So I need to see that out of Jerry Jeudy. I think I know what Cortland Sutton is. I think he's a reliable receiver. He's not he's not in that top class of number one wide receivers, right? But he's in that next class where it's like this guy can be your one, but there's limitations to how much you're gonna get from him total. So I think that's very fair. And so now Mase, on to the division champions and the Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. Last year, Mase, you picked Juan Thornhill. I picked Juju Smith-Schuster. I think both pretty fair picks. Thornhill he had an average Thornhill year, and Juju, he had a comeback year after, a lot of people was pooping on his name the season before. So, Mase, who do you got as the Chiefs X Factor player this year?
I'll take George Karlaftis, especially if you're gonna have a disgruntled Chris Jones for any period of time. Somebody else on that defensive line is gonna have to step up, even with him on the field. Eventually, teams are going to just go all in on doubling Chris Jones every play, and just be like, "Hey, you other three guys got to beat us." So, he had a good rookie season. I think he'll build on that. I think he was one of the better pass rushers coming in from the draft last year, and I think he'll only get better. So I can see him having a double-digit sack season. I can see him hitting that 11, 10, 11. I can see him hitting that, no problem.
You said it all. That's who my pick was, because they need to get somebody on that defensive line that can consistently get pressures along with Chris Jones. Plain out and simple. I mean, for all the knocking of Frank Clark that people wanted to do, when it came playoff time, that was playoff Frank. He was ready. He was getting pressures. He was doing his job. So we'll see what happens there. But now that we are finished up these X Factors for these divisions here, for the West divisions, excuse me, got to get into the last divisions that we have to cover here, and that is the NFC South and the AFC South. So, Mase, might as well start with the NFC South, because, again, this is a division that's basically a poop show everywhere. So we'll see what you got to say here. So, Mase, let's just start there with the Tampa Bay Bucks, because they are probably in a very big transition point right now. No Tom Brady. They're possibly going on this Baker Mayfield ride, dog. So how you feel their season's going to play out?
Oh, man. It's going to be a lot of ups and downs. The one thing that Baker Mayfield will have to fall back on is that he still has Mike Evans out there. So he has Mike Evans out there, and he has a solid offensive line. He's got a really good offensive line there. So maybe those two things will take away some of Baker Mayfield's mistakes, because a 50-50 ball to Mike Evans is a lot better than a lot of other options. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's Mike Evans. Listen, man, I don't know why Mike Evans don't get the credit he deserves, bro, but what is this now? 8 or 9 straight 1,000-yard seasons?
It's because the only time that anybody cared about the Bucks since he's been playing was when Tom Brady was there, and Tom Brady got all the shine. So we know how this works.
Yeah.
For me, I do not see the season going well. I think they're going to be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes going into the draft next year. Honestly, it's what would be best for them. Their defense is really, like, the key players on their defense are old now. Like, outside of the secondary, because I know they still have some youth in the secondary there. But when you just start talking about everybody outside of the secondary, that whole front seven, anybody that was a vital player is old now. All of them. They haven't done a good job.
People, Devin White ain't that guy.
Devin White ain't that guy. Shaq Barrett had a clear fall off last year. We already
got JPP over there. He got 3 fingers, so he can't get nobody off of him. He can't even grab nothing.
And he's old. He's just old at this point too, right? And the biggest part in his game that he always had a great get off, and he was a great speed rusher. You start to lose that as you get older. So, yeah, that whole roster's old. I think the offense will probably see reasonable enough production out of the quarterback position because of the skills the players that they have. They still got, like you said, Mike Evans, who's a dog. They still got Godwin. Evans plays great against everybody except Marshawn Lattimore. So we know he's going to still play good. As long as he don't get into another fight with Lattimore, he'll probably have like a 1,400-yard season. Man, look, I don't know what Lattimore said to him, bro.
You know what? I feel like Lattimore. Mike Evans probably got like a sister or something. You know, Lattimore probably messed her over 1-2 times. You know, so that's some real beef there. That's beef outside of football. Something had to happen outside of football, man, because that ain't no ordinary. That ain't no just, hey, bro, I really can't stand this dude on the field, because you know you can kind of dap him up. Hey, bro, I hate your guts, but you know you good, respect, bro. Yeah, respect. Ain't no respect between them. Something had to happen off the field. Maybe we'll get a 30 for 30 one of these days. Because something had to happen. Or whenever one of them retire, you know, they got to go on these podcasts and start talking. So, because I need to know. Because that's some real hate right there. There ain't too much like real hate. Like, as a Cowboys fan, I understand that my team really don't hate the Eagles like that. They cool with each other. But they gonna compete. There's respect. Those two.
I think the last time we seen some beef like this in the NFL was Andre Johnson and what's his name? Was that corner from the Titans?
Cortland Finnegan?
There we go. Cortland Finnegan. Yeah, there we go. That's the last beef like that we see. Because Andre Johnson, think about it. He was
we had Crabtree and Talib as well.
See, I felt like that was
that was some real beef. Like they didn't.
I agree, but I feel like that was kind of a one-sided beef. I feel like Talib was out there just getting the best of my man Crabtree, bro. All right, like he was out there he snatched that man chain. He embarrassed that man on national TV, bro. Like he got the best of him. I'm just saying, in this case, I don't understand what happened, bro. I don't understand. I don't know why they're so mad at each other. But Cortland Finnegan and Andre Johnson, don't think about it, because Andre was cool. He kept us cool with everybody. That dude, basically, he wasn't even like in the media. He wasn't talking loud. He didn't do nothing. He was chill out. But as soon as he saw Cortland Finnegan across from him, it was like he was ready to murder a man, dog. Like, yo.
Like I said, we don't know what go on outside of football for these dudes. They had to cross paths in some way outside of football, and you know it was just gonna be on site. Andre Johnson probably in his mind he was like, "Hey, bro, that was some grimy stuff. Next time I see you, it's on site, and it just happened to be on the football field. What can you do?"
So yeah, we'll see what happens with the Bucks there. Like me and Mase just both hoping. Come on, don't lose your mind again, Mike Evans. But if you do, we're gonna be here to talk about it. So gotta keep it moving though. Mase, New Orleans Saints, they're in another transition year here too. We don't, last year you didn't really get to see if Jameis could be the guy for them. He wasn't healthy enough for them, and that roster just wasn't healthy enough in general. They're another team we're looking at. A lot of their key players on defense, very, very old. How do you see this season playing out for the Saints?
It's I think they'll be right up there with a chance to win the division. Like I said, this might be one of those 9-win division winners, but it's what more does Derek Carr have to give? You know what I'm saying? You got Alvin Kamara will be suspended for the first part of the season, so that offense may be one-dimensional. Unless Lattimore's playing against a good cornerback, he's average, which is wild. but we know what Lattimore is at this point. If he ain't going up against the best, he's just kind of. I'll make a play if I have to, but if not, I'm chilling.
Yeah, I can't say you're wrong with anything you said there. I just see this being another rough year for the Saints, man. I don't. We'll get to this team, but there's only one team in this division that I think has enough talent on one side of the ball to actually apply some pressure on people, and it ain't the Saints. I think this is going to be a rough year. They're another team that I think going to be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. So I ain't gonna harp on them too long. Hopefully some of those older guys can get traded out in the deadlines and get to some better teams, right, and try and compete for championships in these other spots, because New Orleans isn't competing for a championship anytime soon. They got a lot of rebuilding to do. They screwed their cap up so bad for so many years with Drew Brees and screwing up what they were doing that they're now paying the cost for it. Just like the Rams, right? They were mortgaging their future for so long to try and get that championship and keep this window open. And when that window finally closes up, that cost, whew, you ain't gonna like it.
All those contract restructures and extending guys' contracts for an extra year or two and all that stuff, it's going to catch back up to you eventually.
Trading away your draft picks, not having any cost control players on your team, really, yeah, it gets rough for you. It gets rough real quick. So I think their year is going to be it's going to be a rough one. And again, I don't believe in Michael Thomas, don't believe in Alvin Kamara. Just so we're clear, people, like I do not believe in either of them at this point. I think they're. We talk about this all the time. You only got so many reps. I think their good reps have been used up because they were relied on so heavily to try and carry a very, very average to below average Drew Brees at that point. So, yeah, it's going to be rough. But moving forward here, Mase, got the Carolina Panthers here. They brought in Bryce Young. They traded up there. They made that move there to get him. They traded away DJ Moore in that process, right? But they look to have decided on what their future is going to be here and how they want to do it. They still have some talent on that team, but it's kind of here and there. So how do you feel that this season ends up playing out for the Panthers?
They're going to have to heavily rely on that defense. Brian Burns and Derek Brown, J.C. Horn, Jeremy Chin, they're going to have to get some really good play from their defense to that, and also the running game. Like, so you bring in Miles Sanders. He's no slouch as a runner whatsoever. So they're going to have to rely, because I mean, how many reps does Adam Thielen still have in him? Like, we know he's a really good 50-50 ball catcher, but nobody's really pulling the defense to Adam Thielen, and same thing with DJ Chark. He's never lived up to his athleticism, to what everybody thought he could be. So, yeah, they're gonna have to rely on that defense, run game. I expect Bryce Young to have a solid year, but with the way that offensive line looked in pass protection, they better be able to run the ball. That's all I'm gonna say. Because they don't need to. Don't ruin your rookie quarterback, man, by getting them hit 400 times. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I'm right in line with you here. They're going to be relying a lot on that defense, and we talked about this. It's not a whole defense; it's some pieces here and there. So they're going to have to overachieve if they want to have success. I don't see them doing that. They're going to rely a lot on Chuba Hubbard this year, and not to knock Chuba Hubbard, but at no point last year when he was running did I view him as like a special guy. He's a solid running back. He's good for you, right? But he's more in line of that like David Montgomery guy, where it's like, yeah, man, he's a really solid guy for you, and he's not going to ever give you negative production, but he's not a plus like, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, he's not that guy. So they're going to be asking a lot out of Bryce Young this year. And if we look at their skill positions, my God, who is he throwing the ball to? Because offhand right now, thinking, I cannot name you one skill position player on their team that I know. Not one. Can you, Mace?
Well, like I said, Adam Thielen is the most he's the sure-handed guy. But if we're talking about who we need to like have a breakout year, it's DJ Chark.
But you trust now you're trusting two guys who have proven over like the past couple of years that they can't really stay healthy. For your young quarterback. Not going to be a good year for them. I'm not going to say they'll be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, but I think they'll be picking in the top 12 for sure. For sure. Well, they're not going to be picking. The Bears will be picking with their pick in the top 12. But moving forward here to the one team that I actually believe has some real talent on one side of the ball, and that is the Atlanta Falcons. Mace, we saw their season last year was kind of up and down. A lot of it went with how Mariota was playing for them for quite a while. They're going into this year, and they seem fully committed to Desmond Ridder. How do you see this season playing out for them?
I actually think they're going to be the division winner. You've got some really good skill position players on that roster. You have two running backs to hand the ball off to. So, like I say, you're not going to be going out there asking Desmond Ridder to throw the ball 30 plus times. You don't need that. You got two running backs to. You can get 30 carries out of both of them a game, along with catches out of the backfield, because we know Cordell Patterson, he's a converted receiver, so he can win against linebackers and safeties. Everything we've seen from Bijan to this point, he can win against linebackers and safeties. So, and you have two freak athletes in Drake London and Kyle Pitts. So all Ridder has to do basically is just find the favorable matchup.
Desmond Ridder is we're going to find out very quick how good he is. He's in a very good position to succeed. He's got two guys, like you said, that you can pretty much do a lot of, hey, he down there somewhere. That's a good thing to have when you're a young quarterback, so we'll find out if he can play quickly. But I think regardless, they are the best team in this division because that offense is going to put pressure on a lot of teams. Their defense is, they got A.J. Terrell, and that's about it, right? So
Bates, he went there as a free agent over the summer.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. My bad, Bates. I forgot about it. I forgot that's where you went.
Well, he's certified. He's certified, too. He didn't get his respect because he was in Cincinnati.
Yep. So, yeah, they got A.J. Terrell and Bates. That's it. Nobody else on that defense is worth nothing. So, I look at this team, and they're going to be an offensive team for sure this year, and we're going to see, like I said, what Desmond Ridder has. But I think even if he only has like an average year, as long as he does not turn the ball over a lot, this team is the best team in the division, and they will win that division. I think handily. I think they'll be 3 to 4 games better than any of the other teams in that division. So we'll see quick. Mr. Ridder, I know a lot of people was real hyped on you. We'll see what happens real quick.
But like I said, he has plus talent everywhere. He's got mismatches everywhere. Yep. Drake London may not be the fastest, but at the same time, there ain't too many guys that can battle him in the air.
And on top of that, he runs good routes. His routes are not bad. Like, he be routing. That was the thing that I liked when I watched his tape this offseason, because I wanted the Bears to draft him last year. So I was interested to see, like, okay, what did his season actually look like? And I was like, oh my God, he is routing dudes up.
I mocked him. Yeah, like I mocked him as the first at one point as the first receiver taken. I don't think anybody would have went wrong with taking Garrett Wilson, but you wouldn't have went wrong with Drake London either. So,
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we got to keep it moving here to the AFC South. So we might as well touch on the two bad teams first, and then we'll move to the two teams that might actually contend this year. So Start right away in the AFC South. Oh, my goodness gracious. Such a shame that it's even gotten to this point. But the Indianapolis Colts, they're not a good team, Mase. We know this. They're going into this year with a lot of questions on offense. Like their defense, if they're healthy, we know the defense will be good, but that's been part of their problem over the past 2 seasons, right? Is that defense. Some of the players like Leonard that they were really counting on hadn't been healthy like they needed to. Guys like what's his name? Kenny Davis, I believe this is the corner's name, hadn't been as healthy as they needed him to be. You know what I mean? Kenny Moore, excuse me. So Mase, how do you see the Colts season playing out here?
It's gonna be rough. I mean, just imagine if they would have put the resources into the offensive line while they still had Andrew Luck. Because guess what, people? Andrew Luck is still young. Andrew Luck would be right around what, 32?
Andrew Luck is 33 currently, so you still should have been saying you could get probably 3 more years.
Yeah, you would be in the prime of your franchise quarterback's career. Like you would be set at that position if you would have just invested in an offensive line, invested in protecting that man.
Yeah. I don't see the season going great. I think a lot of people are falling hype to
the measurables.
Yes, and seeing like the training camp clips and stuff, right? Where Richardson, he's done some impressive things, but they're not also looking at it with a critical eye. Like, I told you, I was talking to one of our homies about this the other day, which is that I think Richardson is going to start off struggling here. And a big part of the reason why it's two things that go hand in hand. Number one, he doesn't have a lot of experience playing a lot of high-level football. He went from high school, and then he was only 13 games, I believe, at Florida.
Yep.
That doesn't say to me that it's going to be, a great level of success. I know some people will try and go back and say, well, look at Cam Newton. Cam Newton was a freak, bro. Like, he was something different. That guy, and on top of that, you can argue that Cam was a better refined passer at that point coming out of college, right? Richardson, he has that, and then he's also got that throwing motion. And I know some people, they don't realize these things, but it's a lot of the small details like this can determine how much success you have as a quarterback. It can determine whether or not you get the ball on time. And when you got that swoop, bring it around delivery all the time, that's a problem. In the NFL, that's how you fumble the ball a lot. That's how you get a lot of pop-up in the air turnovers because your throwing motion puts you in a bad spot. I don't see how this team has a great year, especially when you're out here beefing with Jonathan Taylor, who has backpacked your fucking roster for like 2 years, right? 3 years. So I see this being a bad year. This is another team that I think might benefit from just fire sailing some of those defensive players down the stretch and saying, we're just going to rebuild this whole thing. We're going to get the value that we can now and keep it moving.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, while you can still get something valuable for Buckner and Shaquille Leonard, you got to do it because the roster needs a lot of help in a lot of positions. And like you said, Richardson's going to have a tough first year, especially if he's constantly in those 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 6s and things like that. It's going to be rough because, like I said, longer throwing motion. Like he's got all the arm strength you can ask for. Like he's got the rocket to get it there. But if you take forever to release the rocket, these are professionals. They're gonna be in position. These defenses are gonna be ready. You can't throw to the sideline late.
And on top of that, he ain't really got nobody to throw the ball to outside of Pittman. Pittman's the only guy that is. And Pittman's not even a top 20, 25 wide receiver in the league. That's all he's got to throw to. So it's going to be a rough year, man. I'm not saying that Richardson's going to be like a bust or anything like that, because I think we're going to see some exciting plays from him in the run game, right? We're going to see some of that. But it's going to be a lot of up and down with this guy because 13 games and then going to the NFL, going to a roster where you do not have a lot of talent and they expecting you to basically put the team on your back because they're beefing with the best player on your offense. And your offensive line hasn't been the best over the past 2 years because they can barely stay healthy too. Woo, you're asking a lot of a rookie who has not played a lot of football. Asking a whole lot. So keep it moving here, though, Mase. Get to the other really bad team in the division, the Houston Texans. Okay, they drafted C.J. Stroud. They also got
Will Anderson.
Will Anderson, thank you. I totally, you saw, I was like, I was reaching for his name in my mind. But they drafted those two. I think we both liked both of those players coming out into the draft. We thought pretty highly of both of them. Outside of that, you can't really say anything as far as like positives that they've done besides, because I mean, we're including the hiring of the coach too, right? So we're including that. So outside of those three moves, there's not really much that they did that inspires much optimism. I mean, the receiving core is not going to be really good. They traded their one good wide receiver that they had to the Cowboys and Brandon Cooks. This is another situation where I think you're asking a lot of the young quarterback there, and we're going to see some ups and downs for sure. So, Mase, how do you see this season playing out for them?
I think we'll see more ups than downs simply because they have invested into their offensive line. I mean, if Shaq Mason can stay healthy, that'll give them a solid guy in through the middle to keep people off. And we know Laramie Tunsil is top tier as a left tackle. So I think it'll come down to what that receiving core can actually do. Everybody, the reports out of Houston, everybody's kind of high on John Mechie. They think that he's completely over the illness. He's ready to go. Tank Dell has looked good from the slot. I think that team will play hard and be competitive, similar to what they were last year. But they may squeak out maybe one or two more wins.
Yeah, I think the Texans, they're going about building in the right way, right? So the season probably won't be great. I think you're right on the money. They're probably right around the same amount of wins as they were this year because the roster, where they've gotten better at certain positions, like I most definitely think that Stroud is an improvement over Davis Mills, right? That's 100% no doubt. There's still a lot of roster that needs to be built there. What I will say is I think they're going to have a really, really good run game this year. I think we probably see this team be a top 10 run offense in the league because they're going to clearly mix in some read option for Stroud and use his athleticism. Mm-hmm. So I think they have a top 10 run game this year, but that pass game is going to put them in a lot of bad spots just because they have nobody out there that, I mean, we were just talking about the Colts. The Colts don't have Michael Pittman. They don't even have a Michael Pittman. So I just don't know how this
the vet in that receiving room is Robert Woods. And no disrespect to Robert Woods, but I mean, at best, he was the third option in the pass game for a team.
On top of that, Robert Woods, if you still had something left in the tank, the Rams would have never been having to go through the Odell situation.
Oh, yeah.
Never. It's over with for you, brother. Sorry, Bobby Trees. I had to say it. That's the truth. Okay, but moving forward here, let's get to the two teams that actually got some real intrigue this year. So might as well start with the team that had the craziest, I think, playoff comeback that we've seen in the last, 10 years, right, at least. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mase, they seem to be trying to keep the core of this roster together and just keep building on it. Their offense seems to be in a better position because you're bringing in Calvin Ridley, so we'll see what he's got. We'll see if he can get back to the level that he was, because before his injury that put him out and then he got suspended for the next season, Calvin really was a legitimate number one. I know some people will say, oh, well, he had Julio, but dog, when Julio was out, that nigga had some of his best games we've ever seen. So, like, he was a certified dog. I think this team is going to be better. In my opinion, they probably win the division because they have the most secure, quarterback position. Because Trevor Lawrence showed that he is for sure a baller. I think the offense improves. Still got real questions about that defense. Got a lot of questions about that defense. So, Mase, how do you feel this season goes for them?
It's definitely their division to lose, for sure. Like I said, I think Calvin Ridley's coming back to get everything that he deserves. I was on that Calvin Ridley hype train, even before Julio kind of fell off with the injuries and couldn't stay on the field. I was like, Calvin is coming, and he's coming back to get everything that he deserves. Straight. I mean, I don't see what's stopping him other than his preparedness for the season. Like, what has he been doing in this time off to get his body ready to go do this all over again? But yeah, man, it's Jacksonville's division to lose, and I think they will handily win the division by maybe 3 to 4 games, no problem.
Yeah. So I think this offense is going to be – this team is going to be a very, very similar to the Indianapolis Colts with Peyton Manning were for some years, which is that offense is going to put a lot of pressure on teams, and it's going to win them a lot of games. But that defense I got real questions about. Used a top 5 pick last year on Trayvon Walker. He did not look like a top 5 pick over the course of the season. I don't think at any point anybody would say that. So you got real questions about what you did with that pick, right? So you need more from him this year. That defense doesn't really have anybody on it that you look at and you say, hey, man, that guy's a stud. He's going to give you plays. There's nobody there. I don't know I think the defense is what's going to cost them come playoff time, right? Because they're not going to be able to get any stops. So even if they get into a shootout where they finally just need one stop, I don't believe they have the talent on that team to do that. So I think they'll be a very fun watch this year, I think, for sure, because like I said, that offense is going to fly up and down the field on a lot of people. They're going to put you in bad positions because for as much as people want to knock Christian Kirk for he got overpaid, that man was balling out in the red zone last year, dog. He was one of the best red zone wide receivers last year. If you go look at his numbers, it was absurd. So I think they have a pretty solid year, and I think you're right. They'd probably win this division by about 2, 3 games here. But moving on to the last team that we've got here, we got those Mike Vrabels, man. And look, Mase, I told you the other day, I mean, Vrabel out here doing right for the culture, bro. We might have to add him to the list now with the Detroit man Campbells. Titans look good. Okay, so before I lose my mind, let me at least set the team up, right? So Titans, last year we saw a lot of bad quarterback play from them, right? It didn't look good. Even with Tannehill, didn't look good. You could clearly see the drop-off in the offense from not having A.J. Brown anymore, right? Very clear drop-off. Derrick Henry's still a stud. Malik Willis looks much better than he did in this preseason in one game than he did at any point last season. He looks much more in command of the offense, looks ready to take the check down. He looks like he truly actually understands what he's supposed to do as a quarterback, which is a lot of those times, hey, man, if it ain't open, you just got to take what the defense gives you, check it down, do what you got to do, keep the chains moving. All that being said, they did still invest draft capital into Will Levis. So, Mase, how do you see the season playing out for the Titans?
So it's going to hurt me to badmouth the Tennessee Vrabels right now because, like I said, he out there, he with us right now. So how do y'all let your quarterback room get like this? Because obviously Tannehill's going to be their starter. You put draft, you put your stock in, or I don't even know if you call it put your stock in the Malik Willis. I feel like somebody outside of the football decision makers wanted Malik Willis. Say what you want to about that, but and then you go out and get Will Levis the next year, and you keep Malik Willis on the roster. That smells a bit Mike Shanahan-ish to me. That smells that's a little stinky to me right there. So they've got some decisions to make. What are you going to do with Tannehill long term? And are you just going to throw away a second round pick? Because if Malik Willis beats out Will Levis, what do you do in that situation? Do you keep 3 quarterbacks on your roster? Do you just say, well, that second round pick was just kind of there, we just did a thing? Or are you gonna move off of Tannehill? I'm pretty sure he's owed a lot of money still. So what do you do?
Dog.
It's a stinky situation there in that quarterback room, man. It can't be comfortable in that quarterback meeting room. It can't be comfortable.
Tannehill know he on the way out. He knows. Like it's clear. Look, man, they drafted a dude at your position 2 years in a row, and you not the number 1 guy coming into camp. You on your way out, baby. It is what it is, right? He can't be mad at his career. He was a wide receiver that got drafted to play quarterback, that got big money because he was a first-round pick, and then got another big contract after people thought he stunk, and then he showed he could play a little bit. He can't be mad at nobody. But the jig is up, okay? But I agree with you. That quarterback room is a little rough. All the stuff that I said about Malik Willis it bears truth, but I will just simply say he's in a very similar position to the other teams in this division. Well, it's more similar to Houston than it is Indy, because Indy's at least got 1 guy. But again, we're looking at a roster where we're saying, who the hell is the quarterback going to throw the ball to? And I ain't got no answers for you, bro. I ain't got no answers. The only reason I said this team isn't going to be a poop show is because we know Vrabel gets that defense right every year. Oh, yeah. Even when they've lost guys gotten injured, they still get it right. And Derrick Henry's still going to run for like 1,500 yards.
For what is worth, man, Vrabel's defensive schemes just they mimic what
old Bill used to do, bro.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you saw me.
Shit. I know you were trying not to say it, but it was like, nah, nigga, it's just like what Bill used to do, which is, hey, nigga, we got a different game plan every week. We might play a different set every damn week. It all depends on who we playing.
Yeah, man. He seems to have been the embodiment of that Belichick defense. He has, from being a player there, from being an assistant coach there, he has seemed to taken that and found a way to recreate it in Tennessee, and having a scheme that's so fluid that you can give a quarterback a look he hasn't seen from week to week to week. That's always going to bode well for you. That's always going to keep you in games. And like you said, you got Derrick Henry still, so a solid defense and run games can get you very far, but who are they going to pass it to, and who's going to be passing the ball? Those are going to be what tear Tennessee down until they get those 2 things figured out.
Yeah, I think you covered it all. And like I said, man, they don't got nobody to throw the ball to. So Malik Willis will probably have a better year because they're also, it seems, in their offense mates, they're going to be mixing in the read options. And read option with him and Derrick Henry, I mean, you're going to get some success there. But again, they don't have anybody to throw the ball to. That's what's going to cost them on a lot of those 3rd and longs when you absolutely need it. They don't have a guy that can go out there and go get it for them. So I think, like you said, the defense keeps them in a lot of games this year. But, yeah, Jacksonville is clearly like a good 2 to 3 games better in this division to me, most definitely. So all that being said, Mase, tell the people where to find you.
You know, man, Twitter at funky_stuff09. Twitch.tv/Swaggy Mace. Hit me up.
Yes, people, you know where to find me at JSpan the Man. Everywhere you either see my pretty face or the ITC logo. Shout out to all the muscle mommies out there. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, rate us, review us. If you only give us 4 stars and you don't give us 5 stars, I'm inclined to think that you're going to be a hater for the rest of your life, and it doesn't have to be that way. So, all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this was another resounding episode of your favorite weekly sports show, and that is ITC
Sportsball.
Yeah. I was going to say, somebody got to do it for him.